All
there.
right, now Israel, it's the size of Brooklyn, you were saying?
No, the Gaza area is roughly the size of Brooklyn.
Oh, the Gaza area. Okay.
So, for those of you who don't understand what's going on over in Israel, let me back up a little tiny bit. This started back in 1916, effectively. World War I is going on. The powers that be, everybody's killing each other. Kaiser in Germany, you've got Britain. The United States has not yet entered the fray, and the Jews that live in Europe, they're getting uncomfortable, so they want to move to Palestine because there's a movement called Zionism that started in 1897 by a guy named Theodor Herzl, where they all decided that they needed to go to Palestine, and that's where they were from. So England, the Crown of England, offers up Palestine to the Jewish population of Europe through then Lord Rothschild in exchange for Lord Rothschild having his friend Martin Brandeis, the Supreme Court Justice, talking Roosevelt into getting America into World War I. We previously were not engaged. 93% of the population had no interest in being engaged in World War I.
Correct.
At that time.
Yes. So indirectly, all of the individuals from America who were slain in World War I paid the mortgage for Israel.
325,000 Americans. So here's the thing, and people are going to say all sorts of stuff about this, and I don't really care. These are historical facts. Feel free to look them up. Most of the stuff that I get for this particular topic, I go to the Jewish Library for, which is where I'm going for this portion here. The Kingdom of Israel only existed from 1030 BC to 930 BC. It was only a kingdom for 100 years. That's 930 BC. That's 3,000 years ago, kids.
That's like a fart in a windstorm.
Right.
That's not a lot of time.
Meanwhile, everybody else is living there, and everybody else included the Palestinians. After Muhammad shows on the scene in 690 AD, the Muslims show up there. The Christians had been there the whole time. There's Greek colonies all along the Lebanon and those areas. Those were still there. Anyway, Lord Rothschild and the British Crown strike a deal, and a man named Arthur James Balfour authors this. And I will put the words of the declaration on the screen here. This is the entire thing.
Have you shared this? Or
it's shared right now.
It's shared right now? Okay.
It's shared right now. Dear Lord Rothschild, I have much pleasure in conveying to you on behalf of His Majesty's government the following declaration of sympathy with Jewish Zionist aspirations, which has been submitted to and approved by the Cabinet. That would be the British government. His Majesty's government view with favor the establishment in Palestine of a national home for the Jewish people and will use their best endeavors to facilitate the achievement of this object. Pay attention to the next sentences very carefully. It being clearly understood that nothing shall be done which may prejudice the civil and religious rights of existing non-Jewish communities in Palestine or the rights and political status enjoyed by Jews in any other country. I should be grateful if you would bring this declaration to the knowledge of the Zionist Federation, founded by Theodor Herzl. Yours, Arthur James Balfour. So that is how we got to where we are today with the Israel situation. It was literally gifted to them through Lord Rothschild by the British Crown. I have seen people shriek up, down, and sideways. Oh, that's anti-Semitism. It's a historical document, dude. I didn't create it.
That's right.
I'm sorry. It just is.
We're just throwing the truth darts at the dartboard, and people standing by are getting upset saying we're cheating.
So two old soldiers sat here talking about this before the show came on. We both are of the same opinion, and we didn't talk about this beforehand. We don't care about who's going to win here. We just don't want us involved in it anymore. Our money, our blood, our treasure, our people. But what's going on right now is Israel is basically violating the Balfour Declaration, which gave them Israel, by chasing out all of the Palestinians. Are the Palestinians assholes and they kill a lot of people and they've killed a lot of Jews? Yes, there's no question there.
Yes.
It's indisputable. But what we have right now, and the Israelis have, you can find video of them singing in the streets, basically, to paraphrase, let's just genocide the Gazans.
Are you talking the Israelis? Genocide the
The
Israelis.
Israelis are saying, let's genocide the Gazans in the street. There's tons of video of it.
Yeah. Well, and both sides are crying for some kind of genocide.
Yes.
And the scary thing is right now is there's a huge underpinning support for the Palestinian side here in America, to the fact we saw it up there with University of Pennsylvania,
Yes,
and Harvard, right? They were actually questioned, I believe, in front of the Senate in regards to their policy on bullying, and they were talking about Gaza will be free, something or other to the sea. And they're like, then they fall back. Well, it depends upon the context. In the meantime, if you refuse to go along with somebody's delusion that they have an imaginary vagina or penis, that's bullying.
Yeah, that's just the screwiest thing I've ever heard of.
This is what's going to really start happening here. It's a wake-up call to the Jewish community, right? Now, for those of you that don't know, those individuals give a lot of money to foundations, schools, and whatnot to keep everything up and running. That is going to dry up because of this. And I cannot wait to see it happen, because I'm sick and tired of our almost entire school system. From you walk in as a poopy butt booger eater, and then when you get your master's degree, every single step along the way, indoctrination. And here's the really fucked up part. You want to go to college, you take out a bunch of loans. You are literally going to be paying interest on those loans for 2/3 of an education that was not necessary. It was nothing but indoctrination.
Yep.
So if you get out of school and you have a $60,000 debt, 2/3 of that debt is not necessary, because you were taught bullshit, or better yet, how to be a 1 or 2-dimensional thinker. Useful idiot. There you go.
Yeah. That's a how to broach the delicate subject of reality. You have to go back and look at some of the major schools, Harvard, Yale, even Eton in the United Kingdom. University of Michigan is a dreadful one for it.
Oh my God. So is Michigan State.
One of your favorite topics, Popp, the feminists. Unfortunately, a lot of what brought all of this diversity of suicide bombers to our country was the Jewish feminist movement.
Yes.
And again, people will try to ding me for that, but just go back.
Let's just call it DIE.
Yeah.
Not DEI.
What was the one we found like 10 years ago? When the Scum Society for Cutting Up Men.
Yes.
And that was entirely run by Jewish feminists who were a strong 2 in the dark on a full bottle of whiskey.
Yep.
All of them. And we looked at it, we're like, why is this so? And then here we are now with all of this stuff. They created their own shitstorm.
Yes.
But now we've got the protests in the schools. There were 500 people in the streets in Royal Oak, Michigan the other day.
Yeah, that's like what, six miles from here?
Yeah. 500 people in the street protesting for Palestine and Gaza in the street in Royal Oak, which used to be a nice, quiet little town.
Well, no, hang on. In the 80s, it was a motorcycle town. It was kind of rough.
It was still comparatively...
Compared to Detroit, it was clean.
But here's the thing. The guy I was talking to who was telling me this, he says that there was a contingent of full-blown trannies out there protesting for Palestine, and he's standing, this guy's a boxer, you probably like him, Justin, saying, what are you doing protesting for? You know they're going to throw you off a fucking building, right? You know they're going to throw you off a building.
What's
wrong with you?
That's exactly what's going to happen. And that is the perfect example of a useful idiot.
God.
Yep.
Perfect.
Well, that and what was it? Gays for Gaza. They shut down the Manhattan Bridge earlier today or yesterday.
All right, let's hit,
levels of stupid.
let's hit the next one. The
Jeez.
next Israel one.
Criminal.
This is
Where do we got? Where's the
there's that one. We
Israel.
covered that one.
Is this showing up on the screen? That's what part of what I'm doing here. There we go.
There we go.
There we go. Okay, so that little green area that you can see on the screen there on the right-hand side, that's the contested area. And it's about the size of Brooklyn.
Yep.
And this is what they're fighting over. It touches Egypt at the southwestern corner there. And the rest of it is on the Mediterranean. That they're fielding an entire modern army against that, and the people inside there basically have sticks. And yeah, they make homemade rockets and stuff like that, but it's a homemade rocket.
Yes.
They're not very. I've seen
And 20% of them fail.
Right. Yeah, I've seen some of that. I was in North Africa for a very short time and saw some of that action, and it's almost kind of comical. It's like when we used to go into the woods when we were kids with sticks and fight.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot like that, except they kill people from time to time.
Yeah. So the Brooklyn is 69.5 miles squared.
Yeah.
So our whole world is on the verge of basically neutralizing 80% of our population if it evolves to World War III scenario over a piece of dirt that is 65 fucking miles squared.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Yep.
Now, listen, I'm not on anyone's side here. I really don't care.
Yes.
The only thing I care about is I'm sick and tired of having to pay for this bullshit. We were at war for over 20 goddamn years, burned through an assload of treasure for nothing, and now we're burning through more treasure, giving it away to other countries to defend themselves. I'm sick and tired of being the financier for the world. I'm sick and tired of coming to everyone's fucking aid. I'm fucking tired of being the police force for the fucking world.
I'm tired of putting our buddies in the dirt for it.
Yeah. That's unbelievable. And I just found that out today when before the show started. He read me the part in regards to a British lord cut a backdoor deal that basically helped the United States get into the big scuffle.
Yeah.
And 300,000 servicemen who perished paid the mortgage for Israel to exist.
Yeah. Let me put that there on the screen one more time. Here's the Balfour Declaration. Here's the entire wording of it. His Majesty's government view with favor the establishment in Palestine of a national home for the Jewish people and will use their best endeavors to facilitate the achievement of this object. It being clearly understood that nothing shall be done which may prejudice the civil and religious rights of existing non-Jewish communities in Palestine or the rights and political status enjoyed by Jews in any other country. I should be grateful if you would bring this declaration to the knowledge of the Zionist Federation. That's how this all got started.
Yeah.
That's how the Jews hadn't lived in their, let me rephrase that. There hadn't been an Israel since 930 BC.
Correct.
And this is just reality. I mean, this just is what it is what it is.
And here's another thing that just,
here's the historical facts.
Now, here's the thing that wipes my ass with sandpaper about this whole thing. All right. Jerusalem and the Holy Land have been highly contested for 3,000 years.
More like 5, but yeah.
Well, I'm just going back 2,000 years, 3,000 years.
Fine. Yep.
And it got even worse when they put a certain individual on a cross and nailed him on there until he died. And then it really went crazy because now you had Christianity there going against the Muslims. Now, listen, if you want to live in a highly contested land, you probably should be able to guard and defend it your fucking self.
Yeah.
Again, I'm tired of paying for it. I'm tired of American servicemen, basically giving the ultimate price or paying the ultimate price for people to have the privilege of living in the Holy Land.
Yeah. This, as far as I'm concerned, this goes with any war zone right now.
Correct.
Anywhere that our troops are deployed for no reason whatsoever. What are we doing in Africa? What are we doing in
Yeah.
Okay, there's some areas in South America where we should really be, but they need to take our gloves off.
Yes. And we had that big droning thing happen in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Why the fuck are we in Nigeria?
Yep.
What the fuck is going on? Why can we, as the American public, not know where our troops are stationed and why they are there?
Yep.
Now, listen, I'm a spec op guy. I understand. Maybe there's, a group of fucking bad motherfuckers in some country, say country X.
Sure.
All right. We contact the guys who run country X and we say, hey, you got some bad people on board and we would like to assist you in taking care of that. That happens. And I understand that, but it shouldn't be the norm. It should be the exception.
Hang on a minute here, Darth Hideous. Whoa, did Blake put on weight? Hey, screw you, fruitcake.
Hey, man, like I said in the beginning of the show, either you have thick skin or you need to grow it.
I'm not fat. I'm well grounded. Anyway, continue with what you were saying. Guys here, we got to do something with them.
With what?
Finish what you were saying.
You knocked me off the kilter, man.
Sorry I knocked you off the kilter, but let me continue where you were saying, because we did exactly what you're talking about. We were the guys who did the intelligence packets. This was my job when I was in the
Army.
In the Army. Yeah, doing that Army thing that we did. We worked up the intelligence to call in the Green Beret teams to go after stuff like this. We traced the North Koreans from obviously North Korea, China, Thailand, India, parts of North Africa, Algeria and Libya, all the way to frickin' Bolivia, where they were moving drug money so that they could gravitationally challenge the battle tour. Fuck you, meatball. I'm fat. I know it. Leave me alone. That's what we did, was track these guys, and we did it often, and we did it through a whole lot of countries. And then once we pinned them to a spot, we would call in guys like Popp and say, hey, we either need to introduce this guy to the inside of a sandbag or the inside of a pine box. And that happened. What was it? Jeez, oh, Pete, 6 years after I got out, my daughter's in school. She makes a friend. I go over to the friend's house, meet her dad. He was one of the NCOs at freaking X-Ray at Guantanamo Bay. And he and I started talking, and I sent him some of his customers at the Gray Bar Hotel there in Guantanamo Bay.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we had a long conversation. We matched up dates and times. We're like, oh, yeah, I think I did that.
Yeah.
Oh, well, those guys were okay. They behaved.
Well, but here's the thing, though. I mean, we've got spec ops, right? Before 9/11, you had the Special Forces, you had CAG, which is Delta, and then you had SEAL Team 6. Now you got Marine Raiders.
Yeah.
Right. They've added extra battalions to the Ranger battalions.
When did they do that?
I think about 8-10 years ago. Yeah. It's their support battalions where, if you can't quite cut the mustard, but you have a useful job, you go there. And they've expanded the drones, the satellites. I mean, all the other craziness that goes along with that is exponentially just increased. And after that's being said, is anyone out there shocked that the Department of Defense failed their 6th fucking audit?
Yeah.
And you want to know why they're failing these audits? Because the money is going into black ops. And to be honest, there needs to be some supervision over our tax dollars and the way they're spent.
Yeah.
Because guess what? Our tax dollars were paying for a gain-of-function lab in China that went under the radar until they caused a fucking plague that basically froze the entire planet's economy for 2+ years.
I'm under a bunch of NDAs, but I can say as much as what Popp is saying is entirely correct. And a lot of your tax dollars get misspent overseas.
Yeah, and
that's about as far as I can go with the NDAs that.
And listen, I too am under a couple of NDAs, especially for South America stuff. So I'm not going to go into too much detail about that, but
money gets spent poorly.
Yes. Yeah. Listen, war is expensive for a reason. Because you're asking people to do things that are unnatural. It is unnatural to go and forward into combat. It is unnatural to deal with that kind of shit. And to coerce people into doing that costs fucking money. Plain and simple.
Yeah.
All right. And we need to have some oversight on our tax goddamn dollars. I'm sick of it.
Yep.
Well,
It's kind of interesting that a country that takes in, what is it, around $4 trillion in taxes annually is almost about $34 trillion in debt.
Correct. And a lot of that is, let's be honest, the defense budget is, in my opinion, very high. But the social
budget is
programs,
high.
the social programs we have is sucking us dry on top of that.
Yes.
I mean, come on.
Watch Grunt Speak live every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And if you want to join Popp for Supporter Sundays, go to redonkulous.com/donate and make a monthly pledge. A link is in the Meet Gazer box.